2, 1.
Are you going to talk this time?
Probably not.
I mean, for the intro part.
Should I?
Yeah.
What do I say now?
What the fuck
You go.
Oh, for the intro.
For the intro, go ahead.
Hey guys, this is Omar Colom, your host with the most. Thanks for joining us at the Mo Show. I'm here with my co-host, Mike Latchin, doing the same thing over. All right, guys, so welcome to a new episode. Today we're going to talk about some gray areas. Mike's going to be leading the charge on that with us.
Yes, gray areas, safety as well. Safety first,
Safety, OSHA.
Or getting shit done.
And Safety Alliance.
Also, how has working in AV changed your view of AV in general? You know, you go into events, concerts, maybe even walking to a restaurant and seeing their TV is not calibrated correctly.
Oh, all the time. Especially the TVs. I'm a video guy. I just went to a hotel at Amelia Island, and they had 3 TVs in the background. They were blue, a completely separate color from everything else of the sports that were going on that night.
Now,
and my boss that night literally asked the manager for the remote.
Did you?
To fix it.
No.
Yes.
Okay, did they look at you strange, like, who is this guy and why is he asking for the remote?
No, they gave us the remote.
Did you fix it?
I did fix it. It was really easy.
It was fixable.
It was embarrassing how easy it was to fix.
Now, see, that's a video thing. Now, since I do more lighting, going to concerts has kind of changed the way I view them. And I'm not. Maybe I'm going into some type of, I don't know if it's a bar or some type of establishment, but I'm checking out their AV system.
Oh, yeah.
They're moving heads.
Yep.
Even the audio
You're
systems.
looking at it.
I'm looking at it when maybe I should be looking elsewhere. But how do you think that changes once you're in this industry for long enough? Do you think that ever goes away?
No, hell no. You know better. You know all the ins and outs. You know the fuck ups. You know what looks like shit. You know what looks good. So and then you question it. You're like, oh well, why did they do it that way? Did they not have enough time? I thought this was like 2 days loading in. They had plenty of fucking time.
Well, if you're talking about permanent installs, you're like, listen, they should get this perfect because it's here forever. Well, theoretically speaking.
Yeah.
But really,
depends who the owner of the company is.
Listen, you can see LED walls that are always out. Like, you go into a lot of hotels or billboards, you'll see them flickering.
True that. That's
understandable because they got to get a tech out there on site.
Yep,
it's not easily accessible. But certain things, like you go in and you hear like a speaker that's just blown, or it's just crackly, or it just
doesn't sound right.
Horrible.
Super compressed, overmodulated. The mids are too high. The bass is too low.
Do you think your average Joe is recognizing that as well?
Hell no, they don't give a shit.
They're just like,
they're having a good time. See, the lighting scenario, as you were telling me that, I was thinking, because they're looking at the light. What's coming out? You're looking at the source.
Yeah.
They don't care about the source. They just care about the outcome.
I also like to go up to the LD and just kind of hover behind them. Has that ever happened to you with a client on a show, maybe?
Oh, yeah.
Where they just
all the time.
All right, I don't actually hover behind them, but I'll definitely check out their setup, and I won't bother them because no one likes to be bothered by someone they don't know. But if you're on a show and someone in the leadership position comes and hovers over you, how does your attitude change there?
It doesn't. I try to ignore them. Most of the time when they're hovering, it's something stupid like my files are loading, and they're like, what's taking so long? I'm like, what? The file's loading. You tell me what's taking so long.
They start the whispering in the ear, and you feel them breathing down your neck. What do you do in that?
A lot of times they're impatient, they're worried, they're nervous. I get it. They get it. You gotta just let it be. Let them have their anxiety attack with you and help them relieve themselves.
You know what I'll do in some situations? I'll put my hand, like I'm doing right now. You can't see it, but I'll put my hands over and I'll stretch back. And if it hits them, that means they're too close. And it's like, get out of my personal space, please.
Wait. So this is like a planned movement?
I've done this on multiple. I'll just
that's actually pretty ingenious.
And I'm sorry, I didn't see you standing there. Can you please move back? Thank you. All right, continue the show.
Oh, so you do that so you can introduce that little line right there.
I mean, you do it in a nice way and you act innocent, but yeah, it's really actually a good way to get them.
Do you use that line?
No, because at that point. No, at that point, I'll just be like, listen, dude. No, you got to be nice to them, obviously. I'm not doing anything that's disrespectful, but at the same time, it's
Does it
helping.
Work? Most of the time they get the hit?
I'll get like a 75%.
That's not bad.
Rate,
That's really good.
Yeah, Now, as far as the leadership being on site, do you ever see like owners of these companies? Or
Yeah, that's a good thing you bring up because I feel that we as engineers and techs and hands, we don't realize how fortunate it is to see these owners on a constant basis.
Right.
That's something that I don't think people realize because it becomes so second nature, so used to it. But how many people go to who work for Metro PCS get to
Metro
see the owner, you know, or AT&T, they get to see the owner.
I don't think that happens
CEOs.
ever unless you're actually on the board of directors, maybe.
Right.
But if you're just a entry level technician, say that's unheard of. So what does that say for companies that when you are working, you see the owner there? Obviously, it's got to be a big event or something. You got to be at an important show,
right?
Or they wouldn't be there. But what does it say about the company you're working for and maybe the character of the person showing up?
I think a lot of owners of the AV companies, they want to lead from the front. They want to be with their crews,
yes.
They use that. They want to be with the client. They want to make sure everything goes okay. They want to build relationships, and that's what this industry is about: is relationships.
Building relationships,
yep.
Absolutely. When I always see them, I personally try to go up, speak to them, whether you know them or not,
right?
Because clearly they're there for a reason. Sometimes they even come in and they do show calling,
yep,
and then they'll fly out. Multiple shows I've done like that, and it's just it kind of makes you feel good. You're like, all right, this guy cares.
Yeah, it's even cooler when you get to go out back with them and hang out.
that's another story. Though, yeah.
Some Fortune 500 company owners and managers, and they're just totally good guys. They're chill.
Yeah. So what about in the opposite situation though, where you have nervous clients that are just stressing you out? Maybe not the same owners, but let's just say.
Right. No, I get what you're saying.
And clients.
Like an event planner who's maybe a little over their head and they're
I don't know, maybe she just woke up, or the person, woke up on the wrong side of the bed. And, they're just like stressing at every single, is this going to work? And maybe you rehearsed it 20 times. I've done that. And then there's still like, they make you feel maybe incompetent. And you're like, listen, I got this.
Right.
But then maybe that relates back to them breathing down your neck as well. And you're like, listen, let me just do my job.
I think you gotta play it out, just like you're saying. If it's a client who's already nervous and who's already kind of panicking, and maybe something's going wrong already,
yeah,
you might want to be a little more lenient because they're just in a heightened state versus a client who's just constantly up your ass because you're doing a shitty job.
Well,
could be on you.
Yeah,
could
if
be...
you're sucking, then that's a different story. But if you're doing a good job and they're just overly stressed, maybe there's something you don't know that's hasn't been discussed. But at some point, if you were in that position, you obviously wouldn't be doing the same.
No, that's
unless
true.
You see you need to step in and like, this guy doesn't know what he's doing, let me step in. But let them do what they want. Don't micromanage. That's I'm not a fan of that, even though we both see it happening all the time.
And I will add to this that I think I constantly try to get you out of your own head, not your head in particular, just your head in general.
Someone's head.
Just. You got to think on the other side too that they're having some kind of external pressure that's bringing them to that point.
And there's a lot of money on the line, and they want repeat business, and maybe they're trying to impress someone there.
And we're not cheap. And we shouldn't be cheap because we're very skilled at what we do.
Listen, cheap labor isn't skilled, and skilled labor is not cheap.
Exactly,
so,
that's perfect.
That's not my line, by the way, but it's a very good line, and it does apply to the things we come across and face in this industry. And that leads me to my next point, safety. We kind of touched upon this in another podcast, but safety should always come first, but you also got to get things done. But you also don't want to be killing people or getting people injured on the job. What do you think? And I know that there's probably some scenarios that you might not want to speak of, but that you could speak about. What's some of one of our more sketchier things you've seen that's done that you're like,
so I can give a...
Shouldn't be that way. And maybe you didn't have control to fix it, like it wasn't your call.
I can give a generic scenario.
Yeah,
right?
I don't want to be putting people under the bus here.
A great example to tie both of those scenarios together is when you're loading or offloading a truck.
Oh, God, yeah.
You always get into the guy who wants to go above and beyond and stack 4 high or 2 high or 3 high and then pack it with all these Pelican cases. And then you have the newbie guy who wants to just help out and he wants to be involved. And he might not be as strong as some of the other guys, and a case starts to come down, and one guy's the missing link, and that case crushes him. So those are scenarios where it's hopefully not crushed, but you know what I'm saying. I'm adding dramatic effect.
We've both seen people get fingers,
pinched between cases,
or really
hurt up. Or I've seen it's weirdly enough. I've seen more than once. This is why I said weirdly. More than once, I've seen guys walking to a truck to go do some kind of drop off or handoff and fall between the truck and the loading dock.
Oh,
I've seen this more than once.
Oh, that's gotta hurt.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it's different for everybody. But I think when you're in these scenarios or these the trucks and these things, you need to be careful. And I know I'm pinpointing now that conversation into a specific scenario, but in general, there's a time to get shit done, but I think safety should always be at the forefront.
Yeah, and especially when you're talking about rigging. I've seen some pretty sketchy stuff being
rigging,
flown up before.
Yeah, I know. Rigging's a whole other ballgame. You know, you got people's lives below you.
No, but it's not necessarily. I'm not talking about the rigging. The guys there. I'm talking about like the other positions that are maybe hanging stuff off of it. Doesn't matter what it is.
Oh, they just don't know what they're like. The weights,
we ran out of safeties. Let's it'll just fly in the air. It's fine. Just make sure it's tight.
Yep.
Well, okay. Well, if something falls, that could could injure somebody. Things like that, and then it's out of your control. Like, what do you do in that situation?
Hopefully, I had a team that was just massive, and I didn't catch it. And I had to just kind of accept that fact.
So if you're running out of time and something's got to get done and a show's about to start, then
and
what do you do?
when the pressure's on like that, sometimes you got to cut corners. And I hate to say it that way because it's not the right answer at all. But sometimes you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, with I know what you're saying. It's not what you want to do, but it's kind of what you have to do.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, the client's paying you to do that job. They don't care how you get it done. Until something goes wrong, at least.
And I'm sure it's different.
It's always whatever you need to do until something goes wrong. Like, why'd you do it that way?
Different abroad, whether it's in Florida or elsewhere in the U.S. or maybe even abroad, let's say, outside the country. I'm sure they have different norms.
I'm sure they do.
And, different things can be put from there. Absolutely. Now, as far as getting stuff done, like you said, at what point would you say you would actually draw the line and saying, this is not safe, I'm not going to do this? What's the line in the sand, so to speak?
Man, you kind of have me stumped for words, other than the fact that I can say that. I've been in a lot of scenarios where I felt things were unsafe and things should be or could be done differently. And I don't know. I'm hard pressed to give you a good answer on that. I've been in that scenario.
I know, it's unfortunate.
I did what I had to do. I try to be as overly protective as I can, but in the end, some stuff you just gotta let go and be, hey, listen, this really falls on the client. He told me to build it this way. Kind of, a good example I can give would be the old firing line, if you remember those days. I mean, hopefully you don't, because you'd be old as fuck. But,
yeah, no, I don't.
So the old firing line, right?
Think about it. I don't.
So the reason they had a firing line, and the reason there was multiple targets, was that you were supposed to shoot, and whoever, you wouldn't know who was the kill shot. So you could say, I was given an order,
right?
But it wasn't me who did that. You would have the plausibility of denying it,
even though you know you should.
Even though, maybe your bullet probably is the one that killed that motherfucker.
I get it. That makes sense. That's a good way to explain it too.
Yeah.
But okay, all right. Well, that can kind of relate to what we're talking about, because there are a lot of people that check over the same thing once you put a structure together, let's say, or once something is done and gone with. Now, if you remember from some of the other podcasts, we like to do the lightning round.
Yes, the lightning round. So I got questions for you this time, brother.
Whoa, okay.
I got tons of questions for you. So I want to do the lightning round. My first question for you is hog or Grand Dame?
Oh, okay. So I came up with the hog. I mean, like, I learned on the hog. But Grand Dame, hands down, is a better board, better effects engine, better layout.
Really?
It's LD friendly. I just don't use it as much as the hog, because the shows I work, that's what is provided. But no doubt, current generations of both boards, the MA would take it any day. I just don't use it as much.
Okay. Sunrise or sunsets?
Oh, my God, sunset.
Sunset, why?
Well, first of all, I'm up. No, I mean, when I'm up early for work, but you're in the ballroom, you don't see it. Sunset, I make a point to go outside and watch. I do live, I face the west in my apartment building, so I'm always able to see it if I'm home. But definitely evening.
Okay.
Versus AM.
So how about working out or chilling at home?
A little bit of both.
TikTok.
A little bit of
What's
both.
that thing? A little bit of both. Okay. Oh, we'll skip that one. So,
that one
how about for working, driving or flying?
I still don't enjoy flying. Like,
really?
You get there faster, but I like driving. I enjoy driving. Something about it. I mean, I'm not going to drive to like Chicago, even though I have.
I was going to bring that story up. I was like, really? Because there's a scenario I could think of. I can't remember the exact. Maybe 18. We had a rollover in a truck.
There was definitely something to do with the box truck rolling over and the guy taking off. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But I mean, that wasn't.
You would
your
still
fault.
rather drive?
No. I mean, after that, I'm a little scarred. But we walked away from that one thing.
We did.
That was good. But I mean, in general, driving. Like, I'm not talking about a box truck, but I guess that's what you're kind of asking.
Yeah, I mean, what?
I'll fly. You know,
You'll fly. All right,
just
all
don't
right.
give me a middle seat.
And then my last one for you would be, how do you feel about one tech versus multiple? Or I'm sorry, how do you feel about one tech doing multiple positions?
I mean, it happens. You know, if it's in a breakout scenario, there's plenty of times where, not plenty of times, but you're expected to do it. You know,
Okay.
But you're generally not running queues and all of it. You know, there's situations where I'll have a breakout room and it'll have a hog running some up lights and stage wash. I'll have a QL1 audio board and I'm just running some wireless mics. I have the records. I have a PDS for a switcher. And it's not like you're hitting everything at once. Yeah, it's a lot of equipment, and yeah, you got to kind of know it, obviously, to set it up. But once it's running, you're kind of not ever doing multiple cues at once, unless you're doing, like, playback at one point, and then you got to hit graphics, you got to hit your...
What about those
audio.
guys that are doing playbacks, they're doing graphics, they're doing switching, they're
No,
doing
and
shading?
that's kind of where I draw the line. When I started in the industry, I used to work for clients where I would, get gigs, especially like V1s, and I would be the projectionist, I would be the switcher, I'd be the shader, I would be the record op. I would be everything at once. And I'm not saying it's not doable. I'm just saying if it's a big enough gig and budget allows, there should be some separation on those, and there should be help. I'm not saying you can't do it. Like, it doesn't make you good enough if you can't do it. But if you want to get the job done, don't overload a guy. I don't care how good he is or how long he's been doing it. Give him some help, well-deserved help.
So I'm just going to jump off what you were saying here.
Yeah.
You actually brought something to my attention that I don't think I've ever noticed before. Do you
Tell
think
me.
it's a video-only problem?
I do, actually, because audio really, what else are you... Video has so many components that you can do. Audio, it's like, okay, yeah, I understand you can have a lot of wireless mics, but at one point you just have a fader board where, I'm not saying audio, personally, I don't like doing, but...
I'll take audio over lighting. I'll tell you that. I'll take
lighting
audio over lighting.
Once you know lighting, it's simple, man.
It's just heavy.
It's not. I think video can be heavy, even though I do plenty of video as well. But yeah, I think it is more...
It's more
related.
video problem.
It's more video problem because there's.
I'm trying to think of how much would a lighting guy have? He'd have his board. He could just program it all right there.
He'd have his board. Really, video, like I said, there is multiple things between the graphics laptops, the switching.
I can see the only way I can see audio getting complicated would be if you did A1 and A2. You did the two positions.
And that has to
happen.
That
microphones.
Happens.
You got a RF.
That happens all the time. I see A1s running around. And it's like, okay, they missed a cue, but they couldn't have done it because they were clearly micing someone up.
Correct.
And they should have had an A2 or the production manager, someone else, stage manager doing it, but they don't have it for the show. It's too low budget.
Or there's a Q&A session and there's no runner, so they got to run microphones out for them now.
The A1 should never leave his post to run a Q&A mic. If he does, that's unfortunate because you walk away and something happens and then you're blamed. That's never happened to me, but I've seen it happen.
That's happened to me. I was the A2, A1. That's the only reason I had that scenario in my head. And I was doing multiple things, and I had 8 different microphones, and I had the RF, these little, racks. And it was like individually one wireless rack, another wireless rack. So it looked crazy.
I bet you got blamed for it, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah.
And it was
Who else
literally...
are they gonna blame?
Yeah, it's like, you guys don't have a runner, and you tell me to go run around and give these mics out. Can't be everywhere at once.
Yeah, you see, in those scenarios, you just got to bite the bullet and say, screw it,
Mike's been dying to play that button all day, so we let him play with it.
No, I want to do them both at the same time. These ones. There. See, that one makes a lot more
Welcome
sense.
to the Mo Show. Today's your host, Mike Leitchen and Omar Colon.
I like it a lot better. Well, Omar, really, it's been a great talk, honestly, as always.
As always.
Sounds are not... Okay, I had to turn that off. Thank you very much.
You.
Our sound engineer was able to help us there.
You're welcome.
We covered some good topics. Safety, you can't talk about enough. I think we could do a whole show about safety.
Right.
It does get a little monotonous, but everyone... you turned that down for me. Thank you. Everyone is always concerned a little bit about it, and you should be. Working in AV will always change you a little bit, but it's how you react and go on with your life from there. Don't let it take you down. Do look forward to another talk, as always, sponsored by AV Educate.
Woo. Those guys rock over there.
Those guys.
You were talking about me.
I got to get me some of that swag, though, you know?
Oh, yeah. You got to get some swag, bro, for my new partnership with AV Swag. These guys are killing it.
There we go.
They got some other guys out there really good.
Woo!
But I just want to say thanks, everybody, for tuning in to the Mo Show again with me and Mike over here. Hope you guys had some good insights into what we talked about today. And going forward, looking forward to seeing you on the next one.
Oh, yeah.
Have a good one.
Conversation never